Hi everyone, and welcome to my Kickstarter. I'm Daniel, and this is Tesoro, a language learning app. Thank you so much for paying a visit. This is the first in what will hopefully be a series of videos about Tesoro. And in the very first video, I'm just going to give a quick feature walkthrough of what the app looks like, what it does from the learner's point of view, and how to use it. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is actually the current phone interface. This is pretty much how the app will look on release, although the styling, there are a lot of tweaks to be made. But the basic functionalities are all already there. So you can see here I've got a list of languages. This is the list of languages that I'm subscribed to. For most users, we expect that this will only be a list of one, or maybe a list of, one major language and then a couple that they've dabbled in. But for a nerd like me, you can see that there are a lot of languages already up there. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to add another. So let's get started. We'll go to Tesoro Originals, which is our kind of schematically generated language page. And let's go very simple. Let's get started with Russian. So this is the language builder, as I call it, or the main language console page. This is where you can see your progress. So as you can see, I've started completely fresh, 0 sentences, 0-day streak. Obviously, those numbers will go up as we move along, and we can get started simply by clicking the Learn New Words button. And we get into the interface. So again, style needs a little bit of tweaking, some buttons flying about there. But in general, it will look like this. As you can see, we start with choose a new word. I think that choice is a really important thing in language learning, and this is one way I've chosen to demonstrate it. The user is encouraged to choose the words that, for whatever reason, resonate with them at the moment. You can choose between 3, and I find that having this little bit of what I call guided autonomy works wonders for the memory. So let's start with great.
Отличный.
Отличный.
Вид был отличный.
And here we go. We see our very first sentence added. And we see this beautiful photo, this picture, generated by AI that gives some context to the sentence and allows you to get that multi-sensory depth in. I really hope that you've heard the speaker speaking there. I'll play it again.
Вид был отличный.
Вид был отличный. And yeah, so you get this multi-sensory experience. I will use this button really quickly. This is the romanization button for non-Latin scripts. And you can see Вид был отличный in Latin script there too. I'll turn that off. Usually I prefer having it on for languages like Chinese, but with Cyrillic script, it's okay. So we've added that sentence. Let's move on. We're prompted for another sentence, and this will happen for between 3 to 5 times, which I think is a great number for stretching a person's memory to say, okay, what was the sentence you heard 3 sentences ago? I find that much more useful than asking, what did you just hear? So we will go with leaf.
Лист.
List.
Лист упал.
And these are very simple sentences, of course, because it's our first day. We're starting on what's currently level 0. Probably we'll take that out of programmer speech and make that level 1. But these are very simple sentences, 3-4 words max. As the user moves on, they will start to have more complex sentences. But I find that even if you have some background in the language, it's not boring because you're seeing this multisensory depth and you're being exposed to words that maybe you aren't always exposed to in the earliest stages of language learning. We will move on.
Болтать.
Болтать.
Они часто болтают.
Они часто болтают. And this is something I'd like to add. I'd really love to add a recording function that allows you to compare your speech with the speech of the audio. And here we go, our very first challenge. This is a listening challenge that, you click, you listen.
Лист упал.
And you say what you heard. Very simple, but that's already touching on that part of your brain that has to recollect, that has to stretch, and that reminds you what you just learned. That's what language learning is to me, essentially. It's a game of keeping ahead of forgetting and making sure that you don't lose sight of what you just learned.
Они часто болтают.
Они часто болтают. You can see the translation pop up there. And here we go, our first reading challenge. So this one is from English to Russian instead of from listening Russian to Russian. And we can see we just need to choose the translation, which in our case here.
Вид был отличный.
And we hear it again, and it's solidifying that in our memory. So we're coming up to another choice. I will cut it off here because that's the basic structure of it. There's also a picture challenge that will allow you to show from a picture, your ability. But we will move on a little bit because that is the basic structure, the daily learning new sentences structure. Now, if I had learned sentences previously, I'd be able to click review, and that covers the sentences that you've learnt over the past 3 days. You get shown a sentence 4 times, and after that point, we think you've learnt it. So as you can see, if your sentence count here is 10, which you can change, by the way, you would get to 40 sentences a day at peak, which is quite a bit. If you changed it to 40, the maximum, you would get 120, which probably is too much. But we want to give the user the opportunity to see as many sentences a day as they can reasonably handle. So we'll take a look at our analytics very briefly. Again, this screen is definitely a work in progress. This just shows how many words we've heard today and how many sentences we've seen. Of course, if I had reviewed or completed any sentences, we'd see these listed here too. Once this sentence is built up, you'll be able to click each one of these and you'll be able to see which sentences they're actually referring to, or at least a selection of them. But for now, you just get to see, see your progress. And of course, as you add days, this bar will get some friends and you'll be able to see your last 10 days progress. I find that that's really helpful for giving you a sense of where you really are with the language and how much you've learned. That's essentially the sum of it. In your settings page, you can change your display name, you can change your language subscription and so on, and you can change also, you can do dark mode, which is fun, and you can change the number of sentences you see per day. But let's go back to the languages on offer, and I'll talk a little bit about that before signing off for this video. So as you can see, we've got the originals page, which are the sentences that we have handpicked, 10,000 sentences for their strength, their use in language learning, and how well they show off the different grammatical structures of language and the vocabulary that we want to aim for. By the end of a course of 10,000 sentences, the learner will have learned about, I think it's about 20,000 unique words, simply from the English, and essentially all of the grammatical structures of the language, which I think is very exciting. That can be done in about a year and a half at a reasonable pace, and by the end of that, we want to be able to guarantee that you will have a strong competence in this language if you have stuck with it, which I think is a really exciting promise, or at least encouragement to be able to give. We also have here the Global Voices tab, which are assembled from free public material concerning the respective languages. Currently, we have 3 European minority languages, Breton, Frisian, and Romansh. The last one, I think, may be the only full language learning course in English, and I believe in French, that offers Romansh, which is a really exciting thing. And we also have the Community tab, which isn't fleshed out yet, but will soon allow its users to add languages of their own and courses of their own. So for example, if you want to deal with specifically, let's say, poetic vocabulary in Russian, or you want to deal with restaurant vocabulary in French, or if you have a minority language that you can contribute to the app, that's definitely something we're going to be adding support for. And I'm really excited to see what kind of community we can form around the sharing of languages. So that will be a major feature as we move on. So going back to our language learning page and summarizing a few key points of the video, Tesoro is primarily and specifically a spaced repetition language learning platform. It's a platform that's based on stretching your memory, allowing time to remember these constructions, but importantly, it's also multisensory. It's something that you can see audio and pictures and text and soon to make recordings that will allow you to really solidify the structures of language in your mind. And from my experience as a linguist at the Defense Language Institute in Monterey just this last year, and also learning Irish with Dultina Gaeilge and learning German at the Goethe Institute, I have found that this is the most efficient way to learn a language. And I can't, of course, guarantee that for everyone, but that is something that I firmly believe. I'm really excited to be able to offer this to others. I'm really excited to put this method out there as a mix of a few different theories that I subscribe to, and to be able to advocate for language learning as a whole. Your support here in this Kickstarter matters so much for that journey. I really hope you'll take a look at the rewards that we offer, and I especially hope that you'll get in contact with me. My email is listed in the Kickstarter here. I'm always up for questions, and if you'd like, I can feature your question in a video and talk about it in a bit more depth with everyone able to watch. Thank you so much again for visiting. Have a great day, and yeah, get in touch.